Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. Today we have a twofer. We are going to build our stash using TCW stencil butters, and we're going to take those supplies and use them on a page. So here is what we are going to create, these beautiful snowflakes using stencil butters. So I'm using Stampers Anonymous, these snowflake stamps, but you can use other stamps, just nothing too fine. Now when you're doing a stash builder, you want to make sure it's something that you are going to use, not just make and store. So I'm making snowflakes today because I know going into the winter season I might use them. Now to stamp with, I am using these stencil butters. Now you can put these through a stencil, you can paint with them, and you can stamp with them. They are pearlescent and absolutely lovely, and you can see I've got a whole array of colors, but you don't need all the colors. Now I'm going to stamp on tissue paper. That's because the tissue paper will go disappear, and you'll just be left with the stamped image. So I'm simply putting the stamp on my stamping block, and you can see this lovely textured stencil butter, these little pots of yumminess. And I'm going to put a little bit on my glass tabletop and make sure that I close the lid. You don't want this to dry through, so I kind of tapped it on the thing so it all goes down, and I'm putting on the lid, even between layers. I don't want to put more on the table. Then I'm just brayering it onto the stamp. This way I don't get it globby, so it really helps. Now another time to do a stash builder is when the process is a messy one. Then there's lots of cleanup. I don't want to do that every single time when I'm doing a page. I want to do it once, clean up once, and have it at the ready. So that's the other time. Gel printing. I can have a whole bunch of gel prints, different colors, but I'm not going to grab out my gel plate every single time just for one page. Same thing with this. I'm going to do a lot of sheets of tissue paper with the different colors and the different snowflakes, and I'm going to have that at the ready in my stash. And because I'm going into the winter season, this is going to stay close on my tabletop. So here I'm using the sunshine yellow, and like I said, I have a whole array of colors, but if you had some basic colors, these blend beautifully. So you can, if you had a red and a yellow, you could make an orange. You have a yellow and a pink, you can make a coral. So here I'm adding orange to this, and then a little bit of red, and you get this beautiful coral mixed color. These are some of my favorite snowflakes that I stamped. Now, another reason, stash builder, I'm doing it on tissue paper. If the stamp doesn't work, I don't have to keep it. But I'm not doing it right on my project and messing up my project. And putting it on the tissue paper, I can position it in the composition that I am doing. I can arrange them while they're just on the tissue paper and then glue them down. Now we're going to talk a little more about cleaning them, but here I'm just spraying it with my Murphy's oil soap and wiping it off. You really want to do this. You don't want this to dry on your stamps because you will wreck your stamps. So take the time to clean it, and if you don't have the time to actually wipe it, throw it in a tub of water. Now I'm scraping up the excess that's on my tabletop. I'm waste not, want not, and I'm just going to spread it on here. Later on I use the brayer and I brayer it on, and I love the look. So that's what I would do now. I would brayer it on, and this becomes collage paper. Beautiful iridescent pearlized collage paper, and I'm not wasting anything. So now I'm switching up the colors. I'm putting some blue and some purple. Switch to a different, there are 4 different snowflake stamps, so I'm just kind of putting the different ones and just continuing on. And like I said, I've done multiple sheets of tissue paper, and the benefit of the tissue paper is it's really thin, so it's really easy to store. But again, don't do 50 snowflakes if you don't like snowflakes. And you can get out other stamps and just do a whole bunch of stamps in this way. And then you have really one cleanup at the end of the day, at the end of the stash builder session, instead of, and then you have this at the ready, and that just kind of jump starts your creative process. So I love when I mix the colors and you get these different combinations. Now that was with tissue paper, and I just wanted to show you, this is the excess ply to napkins. I use a lot of napkins in my art, as you know if you watch me, and you can do the same on the napkin ply, the single napkin ply. Now the napkins are way more fragile than the tissue paper. They stick more, but they also go translucent more. So sometimes if that was really key, that you really wanted to go translucent and not see any tissue paper or any excess, then I would do it on the napkin ply. So this is a great way of using what would otherwise be thrown away. And that's the other time to make a stash builder, when you can use stuff that you already have. I love that last one. It's kind of pink and purple, and the pearlescence isn't showing up. And here I've brayered on some, and I love that. So when I do the session, I would just continue brayering on, and you get these wonderful things. You could cut that out and put it on the back of a sentiment or something else. So here I'm cleaning it off my brayer using my Murphy's oil soap, wiping it off. If it's dried a little bit, I'm spraying again with my Murphy's oil soap mixture, and I'm getting a toothbrush and I'm getting in there to get it all clean, because I want to keep my stamps in good working order. So just cleaning up. And then you can, if you're going to use them right away, dry, or just let them dry on their own. And this is just one of the sheets that I did during this stash builder session. Look at all those beautiful, beautiful colors. And here we have some of them again. We've got I like the yellows and the corals. Now I'm just going to cut these apart, and I'm going to keep them in my, I believe it's 7 by 10.5 plastic ones, plastic case, and I'm going to leave that close at hand. So part 2, I'm going to create with them. Now first thing you're going to want to do is remove the excess, as much of the excess as you can. So I'm using a thin brush and just water, and I am water cutting it. Now with tissue paper, you need a little bit more water, and you need to maybe wait a couple seconds to let the water get in there and break down the fibers so you can pull it off. With the napkin, I would use a thinner brush. Now I'm just cutting out some of them. I wouldn't cut out all of them at this point. I'm cutting out a variety of them and thinking, okay, how do I want to use this? And I decided that instead of going the traditional blue, green for the snowflakes, I'm going to go with yellows and oranges and corals. A little less traditional. There you can see the shimmer of those beautiful stencil butters. Now they're also textured because it's a thin modeling paste. So I've played with the orientation, and I have a flurry of colors here. So I'm using a lot of these on the one page. But again, I could just take one and glue it down on a coaster and have 4 different color coasters with that. So the possibilities are endless, and like I said, I have a whole stash of them that I can use again and again and again. So when I'm applying it, I want to put a good coat of fluid matte medium. I use the Liquitex brand, and I'm putting it down and just gluing it down. Now the surface here, this is a 9 by 12 Canson mixed media page that I've taken off the coils. I've gessoed it. So it's white underneath, and I want to see these snowflakes. So if it's a light background, you're going to see it, see the colors better and you won't see the excess, the ring around them. If you go to a darker color, you may see some of that and it may not work as well. So keep that in mind. So I'm just gluing them and layering them, and we just have a flurry. And how quick is this? So if you have these in your stash and then another day you go, okay, I just want to make a snowflake background, you grab it out and quick, easy background. So I looked through my focal images and this girl with the red dress, it goes so well with this. So I thought, okay, and I'll look for a sentiment afterwards. But you know what? My background's not done. It could be, but you know, I need a little bit more. So I've grabbed a script stamp and I'm just grabbing my archival ink. It's permanent when dry, and just adding a little bit of script here and there. And that's just adding a little bit of interest. I love text or script on the background. So if you're a newbie, get yourself text script stamps. They will be used and used and used. It's a good investment. So now I'm edging it with black. I'm unsure if I'm done, if I want to do more. It seems a little too easy because the background was, you know, all the stamping was done. But I'm just kind of deciding, am I done? And I'm putting it back and thinking, okay, is this good enough? And I decide no. So I grab black paint and this star stamp that I just have in my stash, and I'm adding. And I'm liking the black of it, the stars. The contrast goes well with her hair. Now, if you liked it just with the snowflakes, go for it. Then I thought, I'm just going to add a little bit of red, and I grabbed this small heart stamp. Now, this was actually a whole sheet of hearts, but I never used the whole sheet. So I cut up part of it to make a random stamp. So don't think you have to use your stamps exactly as they are. If there's a part of it that you love, cut it out and use. So I'm liking the hearts. The snowflakes have now been pushed to the back. We've got lots of interesting layers, although they are just stamped layers, but we also have texture because of the stencil butter that we used. So once that's completely dry, I am gluing down my magazine focal image with fluid matte medium again. Now we have the lettering right across here, but don't worry about that. You can overpaint and get rid of that on your page. So don't not take a magazine picture because there's text going through it. You can adjust. So I'm shading around her to make her stand out from the background, just adding a little bit more dark around the edges. And here I'm taking white gesso on top of the lettering, getting rid of that, and then I'm going to come in and get a flesh tone and get the red of the dress and overpaint. So here's the red, and I just match it as much as possible. If it doesn't match perfectly, then you paint over all the red. And just by overpainting, sometimes that makes it look more like it's your own. And remember, I put a coat of fluid matte medium on top, so it turned the magazine paper into a non-porous surface, prepared it for paint. Now here, the flesh tone that I'm making got a little bit, it wasn't exactly a match to what the magazine has. So I did off camera, I tweaked it and worked it after I let this dry, and then came back and adjusted it, because I wasn't happy with it. But that's the key. So there we have it, and now I'm just shading on the dress and on the face of the girl, just adding a little bit more interest to it and making it stand out. If you don't like something on here, because it's a non-porous surface, you have a few minutes to just wipe it off. Get rid of it if it doesn't quite go the way you want it. And realistically, nobody knows what the original looked like, so you're not comparing. I went to Pinterest, found a bunch of winter snowflake quotes, typed up a few, and here I'm just auditioning the ones. That works, but 'tis the season to be freezing. She's got kind of an attitude on her face, so I kind of want something that has a little bit of attitude. And then I find it, let it snow somewhere else. I know it's the winter season, and I know family and friends that live in different parts of Canada, they will be getting snow soon, and I'm all good with snow, but let it snow somewhere else. And I moved the somewhere else to her body to let your eye kind of travel down and across the page. I thought there was too big of an area there, so I just kind of separated it to use a little bit more and make your eye travel. And then I'm just giving it a coat of matte medium. Now, I don't typically seal my pages. People have been asking. I leave it as it is. I've splattered here with black, but it didn't really do anything, so didn't add to it. And giving it a good dry. Now I want to do some shading around the sentiment, and I'm using my angle brush and my floating acrylic shading technique just to make the sentiment stand out, give it a little bit more weight and presence on the page. I don't want it to float on the page and get lost. And there we have the finished page. So we have built our stash using the stencil butters that I absolutely love. And we have done a page showing you how to use this item that you now have in your stash. Don't have a snowflake stamp? Use the stamps that you have. Use what you love. Until next time, go get creative.